episode Dees.
Diving.
He's not a man. There's nothing more to say.
Diving.
Yo, welcome back. Episode 10. That's what Dees was, man. It's your host, not your horse. Corsiola. Sir Solomon, what's up?
Good to be back.
Yeah, man. Very good. This week we on it, man. We got some good games to cover. We're going to talk a little bit of World Cup qualifying. Man, let's get right into it, man. No bullshitting.
Let's go.
All right. That's the match whistle. Let's get it on. We're gonna start in the back four, man. We're gonna take it to Madrid, where they're still wondering if Catalonia is gonna be part of their country.
No, they're not wondering. They told them they cannot leave.
That's true, man. This shit is not voluntary, son. Barcelona at Atletico. First time at the new stadium, man. What happened in this game, Sir Solomon?
Piqué got booed at the Wanda Metropolitano.
No surprise, dude.
That's the new stadium's name, the Wanda Metropolitano. Beautiful fucking stadium. I don't know why they called it that. They called it like the football house or something.
Or Diego's house. That would have been more apt.
Casa Don Diego.
Yeah, dude, that is the name. Fuck with that. That's the official name going forward. So what happened at the Casa de Diego?
Exciting game because Barca has got the point so far, but hasn't looked that special. And they're on top of the league. They were leading by 7 points coming in, and have been pretty much untouchable in the league. But we couldn't really get a idea of how good they were because we didn't know. They didn't play anybody really.
Yeah, and it certainly hasn't been like a pretty Barcelona thing, man. They've been losing. They like actually been losing possession in games, but not this game. Nah,
but in this game, because it's Atletico, it's a Champions League contender year after year. Because of the squad they have and the big names that are coming up. Like I wanted to see what Barca would look like, and in the first half. If I didn't know, the team I thought was Barca, was the team with Saul and all of them. Even though Griezmann was having a shit game, they took it to Barca. You understand?
You understand? Yeah, man. So
but
they opened up the scoring, right?
Yeah, first half they came at them really good play. Flowing moves. For example, the goal that they scored, Saul topped off an 18 pass move.
Dude, seriously? 18 passes?
18 passes.
Damn.
Lukaku had 22 touches in the game over the weekend.
In Liverpool.
They had 18 passes in one move.
Damn. Yeah, that's a Spain-England difference right there, but true.
So, yeah, he takes the lead. It could have been worse if Griezmann wasn't so shitty this weekend, and Ter Stegen and Umtiti, it has to be acknowledged at some point, are the defensive rocks of Barca. Like, there has been a power shift. It used to be like Piqué and Mascherano. Mascherano himself has admitted this past week that it's Umtiti's spot to have.
Dude.
And he covered a lot of ground for Piqué.
If he admitted that this weekend, he obviously put on his Captain Obvious hat, because honestly, when I saw that headline, I was like, that's right. Mascherano's still there.
But all these athletes are completely tone deaf, so they don't care what the perception is.
That's true. Well, all right, enough of Mr. Cherry. There was some...
Valverde put out a very, very weird shit team.
That's exactly where I was going. So there was a little bit of frustration reportedly from Leo and Luis over Gomez starting and playing 90 minutes.
Not just starting and playing 90 minutes badly, but being the guy basically put out a flat 4-4-2 that's like really narrow and played Andre Gomez on the right side of it. And Iniesta kind of on the left, and Iniesta came back from a fucking hamstring strain I'm like, you've been resting him in random times, and now, right when he's coming back from a hamstring strain, you want to put him in against Atletico Madrid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, Valverde is
like, they pushed him off the ball easily. He never got a handle to it because he's not, like, you have to be as close to 100% as possible if you're playing against a Simeone team.
Absolutely. So
second half, Semedo comes off. And Iniesta comes off. And for Semedo, Sergio Roberto comes on. Semedo's been having a really good season, but this game, he was really not himself. He didn't have a good game. Also, it's something to do with Atletico's style of play, and they kind of came at him. So when Sergio Roberto came on as right back, like, he changed a lot of the game. He came on with De La Feu, but that dude, I don't know.
Yeah, I was surprised that he actually got in this game, to be honest. Especially as an Iniesta sub. That's kind of surprising.
There is nothing in his bag of tricks that he can bring to a club of this caliber.
Nothing.
You know what I'm saying?
Nothing. Like, if you were to say, like, what is the one thing that De La Feu does well? What would you say?
Sits on the bench.
Gets a fresh haircut. Looks good for the ladies. Ready
Cool.
to go party after the game?
I don't know. I want the one thing good he does be get Barca 20 to 25 million euros as he walks out the fucking door because he got sold.
Dude, that
would be a great skill to have.
That's lofty,
practice that.
Lofty expectations, man.
Dude, the market shifted. Like, they paid 13, so they'll get 20 or something from somebody.
Possible.
Anywho, second half, game changes. Now it's more of a 4-3-3, even though De La Feu is a useless cunt. He dribbles nicely, tries to get open, but then fucks up. But the team has now moved into their comfortable formation, so they start picking up. Sergio Roberto on the right starts complementing Messi beautifully, and in fact, it's him that crosses for Luis Suarez to score.
Louis bites who he wants.
He bites who he wants. He misses when he wants to. That guy is having a Mohamed Salah kind of opening to his season. He scored the tying goal, but if he wasn't so shitty in the game, they could have stolen 2 more points.
So a draw, 1-1 draw. Barcelona remains undefeated. Real Madrid won, so that they stay 5 points up, which is still major in La Liga. Barcelona will need every single point that they can. I mean, anything they'll take, obviously, to stay up on Madrid. Still don't feel like they're the stronger team, but
it's like, you know how in Vegas you have the line based on who's the favorite and stuff.
Yep.
Barca right now just has a 5-point and also goal difference advantage, but that's gonna change. But that's an excellent cushion that they would 8 games into the season get a 5-point advantage over Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Like, they'll take that happily.
Absolutely.
And they've got the away trip to Atletico done already. Okay.
Yeah, that's major. Yeah, major. Cool. That was a major game.
Yes. You know what I liked though? In a season of disappointments and confusion in Barca, Paulinho has been a pleasant surprise.
He
came on and he put a lot more like vigor into the game. You know, like he brings a certain attitude that Barca have kind of been lacking. You know, like Seydou Keita, Yaya Touré when they were there. They're not like workers that are also quite physical and just do their thing. I like what he's doing. He knows who he is.
When your mind is overwhelmed with memories of playing in the Chinese Super League and you think that could be your future, like, I bet you he's playing with some extra motivation.
A little bit.
I would think so.
When they were playing Brazil against Argentina, he said Messi asked him when he's coming to Barca, and he's like, as soon as he called.
Done.
And they called him.
Absolutely. Have you seen the pollution in Shanghai, man? It's like 4 million people smoking a cigarette at the same time. Like, I would not be trying to play there, man.
I'm sure he's
Is
not
my
living in the central business district or by
he's
a
playing?
factory in Shanghai.
No, the factory means no difference. He's playing in Shanghai, dude. Like, it's next level pollution, dude.
And he's from Brazil, man. He's not like pollution is not the issue. It's just that it sucks.
True. All right, man. Let's move on. Barcelona, Atletico, 1-1. Let's move on to another draw. Maybe even a very less exciting draw, in my opinion. But let's get your opinion. Liverpool, Man United at Anfield, 0-0. Typical Moo. Tell us about it. Typical Liverpool. Another day above ground. Another Liverpool draw.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, it does seem like a typical game, and yeah, it wasn't what it should be and what we remember of Manchester United, Liverpool games, and what the legend is, the two biggest clubs in England, blah, blah, blah. But for a while, they've been very cagey, contentious games that are decided by like one mistake or two. And over the course of time, like everybody's focus is more and more to not make the mistake, so the game has got more and more boring and just tense, you know?
Dude, the game last year was just horrific, and this was better than that, though.
This was not a bad as far as 0-0 game goes, but like Mourinho, he came, like Klopp said, he came for a point and he got a point. If you make a mistake and you drop a couple of points, he'll take them, but he wasn't really chasing this game to win it. His away record against the top 6 teams over the last few years is ridiculous, dude. He does not win.
No, he does not. He doesn't even try. He doesn't even attempt, dude.
Yeah, like, why was Rashford on the bench? And, like, this was a Rashford kind of game. A weak defense against a physical guy out on the wing and a physical guy playing number 9. Like, that was the move, man. Like, instead they decided to go with speed and Martial, which I like Martial, but they have speed. They can't handle big dudes.
And the report came out today, at least a rumor, that Mourinho is frustrated by United's lack of spending. What?
And they asked him why he wasn't attacking, and he was like, man of the match was Joe Gomez. He's a defender, so he must have been attacking a lot.
He's attacking our football sensibilities, dude. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But the game had chances. This is the kind of game that became about Mourinho after everybody kind of figured it was a boring game. But what it should have been about, if Liverpool weren't just a bunch of fucking morons, was come in at home, fuck up Manchester United, and announce your arrival. Like, if you're that team, right?
Yep.
Except, just like typical Mourinho, like typical Liverpool, they execute an excellent move and then just shank the ball into the sky like God wants to play or something.
Yep. There was one real nice chance that they had, and De Gea just showed his ass, man, and like beautiful save, man. But outside of that, man, like just tons of shanks, dude. Tons of like,
yeah.
What the hell are you doing?
Firmino and Mo Salah, they get behind the defense at will. They should have so many more goals. Like, that's the frustrating part, is that they're good enough to do the hard shit, but they're boneheads. Like, so they can't just finish the fucking job.
Can't finish, can't lay it up. Sounds like me in high school with all the girls, man. I could get there, but I just couldn't close, man. These bastards. So 6 total shots, 1 on goal for Man United. I mean, just no effort there to even possibly take.
Let me give you a
take
number
the game to
that might give you some sort of indication about Manchester United. David De Gea is the goalkeeper. Romelu Lukaku had 22 touches. David De Gea had 46 touches. So the attack was directed towards their own goal.
Terrible, dude.
The target man is De Gea.
Terrible, dude. Yeah, you can see the frustration on Klopp's face, man.
They gave Lukaku one chance. He missed the one-on-one with Mignolet. Mignolet kind of made a nice save, but he should have done better.
Definitely should have done better.
Beautiful. And then everybody went off on him, which is right, because he doesn't have a lot of goals against the big teams.
True.
But
one shot on goal. That was it.
But he didn't have any service, and he's never going to be the guy that's going to take one shot and score one goal and walk out the game. So if you have him as your striker, if that's what you wanted was a one-shot effort, maybe try Rashford. He might be good with that.
I will say that was a beautiful 1-2 with him and Martial that got him that opportunity. But I also want to ask you about the Coutinho non-call on the penalty. What did you think about that?
I thought there was contact on that. I'm not totally upset about it.
There's definitely contact.
There's definitely contact.
But I've seen way worse go down and not get called, and I'm not too upset
at this point. I've
called.
Seen every possibility of penalties, so the ref didn't call it. It was nothing outrageous.
Yeah, no, and
there was contact, but it could have gone either way as far as I was concerned. And I'd rather the games don't stop on those kind of moves.
And I think the ref shared your sentiment, dude. He just was not about to make that the play of the game.
And I don't think any of those two teams, I think they deserved a fucking 0-0. Dude, wasting our time.
Totally, dude. Can we not waste any more time on that? Can we move on?
Yes, but big shout out to Joe Gomez. He had a fucking good game.
No doubt. Shout out.
And Liverpool have now, in addition to not being able to play defense, they don't know how to take corners. Every single corner gets cleared near post.
Can we at least...
My Liverpool friends pointed out that to me, and it's been hilarious ever since. It's so true.
So, what's the possibility that there's other people in the world named Joe Gomez? That shit is funny to me. Joe Gomez.
Yo, check out this Lukaku number, though.
What's up?
Against the big six teams since 2014, 2015, Lukaku has 36 appearances with 5 goals.
It's terrible, dude.
At the same time period, 37 appearances and 19 goals for, who would you guess?
Oh, man.
Jamie Vardy against the same opposition has, in one more game, 19 goals to his 6.
Man,
5.
That dude's a determined little runt cunt, though, man. Whew.
Yeah, man. It's that cocaine.
That Vardy party, dude. Hey, for real. All right, man, enough of that shit, man. Let's move on, dude. Let's move on to an actually pretty fucking exciting game in Italy, man. What's the name of that? What's the name of that derby? It's the AC Inter. It's the what?
Derby della Madonnina.
Dude, they just slip. They just want to slip the Lady Madonna in anything that they can, dude.
It seems like they're actively trying to have a product that's very difficult to promote. Where the fucking screen you gonna put all that shit on, man?
For real.
Fucking, you guys have a hard enough time selling your product without giving it a fucking confusing ass name.
Dude, the name I was reading about the highlights and all that, dude. All the names are 17 letters, eight of which are vowels. That shit gets tough, man. Come on. Anyway, man, good game here, man. Inter came through 3-2 over AC.
Inter is more supported team out of the two within Milan and also within Italy. Inter against Juventus is considered the derby of Italy. Those are the two biggest teams. And AC Milan is internationally a powerhouse. In the rest of the world, AC Milan is not even comparable. They're dominant over Inter because they have 7 Champions League wins and many iconic names. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They share a stadium, but it was a home game for Inter this time. You know?
Yep. Here's a good question, though, dude. The San Siro. Did you know that its real name is the Stadio Giuseppe Meazza?
Yes.
Man, that's
actually, yeah.
I didn't know that. But anyway, go ahead.
And if you don't know, now you know.
Tell us about this game, man.
Okay, after the Giuseppe Meazza we go. That's how I know what it's called, man. FIFA, the video game.
Giuseppe Gomez. What's up? Go ahead, man.
AC Milan came out in a 3-5-2. They got Bonucci and don't know what the fuck to do with him.
Do a 3-5-2. I'm floored by that.
And they've switched to this 3-5-2 like that's the reason why he flourished. Not because he was playing with, like Chiellini and Barzagli. That was not the reason they were having success. It was because of just three people, So they put two guys that actually fit better in a 4-man defense, in a 3-man defense, so that they can fit with him. And now he's exposed, and they're like, what's wrong with Bonucci? He's like, you just fucked up your whole team to put in a player you never had a plan for.
Yep. Coaching issues, man. We're going to get to that later. Our boy Icardi opened up that scoring with a beauty, though, man.
Yeah, it was they kind of took the game to AC at the beginning, but, like, it was kind of against the run of play. Like, AC Milan looked good. Like, first half, though, Inter was just flowing. And then, because, when you play a 3-5-2, your wing-backs have to be good, and then the middle has to be protected.
Yep.
And yesterday's game, Kessie and Lucas Biglia, who occupy and are supposed to cover a lot of ground in the middle, both happen to have atrocious games at the same time. So even though your boy Fabio Borini, who used to play for Liverpool, is now playing right wing back for AC Milan and did a pretty decent job on Perisic, once they lost that midfield, it was just like Inter just kept getting
rampant. Rampant up and down the wings.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's beautiful delivery by Perisic on that first goal, man. Like, the curve on that ball was...
Perisic is like a little like Robert. He doesn't have a lot of moves, but the few things he does is just spectacular.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So that went to the break, 1-0 Inter. Milan pulled it back. Suso.
Yeah, man. Milan came back in the second half looking really, really good. Suso was nice. Andre Silva as the second striker, he started coming into it. Kessie comes off. It just, they looked like they deserved a draw.
Yeah.
But Icardi was just not a person to be fucked with in this game, and you give up a hat trick,
Dude, the second Icardi goal was sick too.
Yeah.
Man, the finish was
dude,
sublime.
He had 4 shots. 4 shots on target. And then a hat trick, one of being a penalty.
Yep.
And then he had also another key pass that just never really got finished by whoever he passed it to. But within 24 touches, we were just talking about how Lukaku only had 22 touches, and yes, that's a little. It should be more, but this guy had 24 touches and he had a fucking hat trick.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. Romelu Lukaku. He's offside when he's erect.
So there was an own goal here, which was kind of on an own goal. The goalie really looked like he should have had it. But Mario Icardi pulled it back in the 90th minute with a PK. Like you said, kind of against the run of play, man. Milan dominated possession, more shots, same amount of shots on target. That's a big win for Inter, man, and that really is a tough loss for AC, man. 10th place right now.
Yeah, like
7th place, excuse me.
Earlier, at the end of the summer, we were doing our previews, and I was talking about how their projects were different, and they were going at different speeds, and the AC Milan one is exciting, and this one is not. Well, after the match, the manager, Montella, already the president is giving a vote of confidence. Now, usually when they start saying that, it means you're about to get fired. You know what I'm saying?
You're done.
So, getting a better coach and staying out of the way that the Inter owners are doing, seems like it's working better than what the AC Milan people are doing, because it seems a little more chaotic and frantic there. It doesn't seem like they're dug in for the long term to do a proper move.
And
it looks like they're doing a flip.
And just to put their position in perspective, they're 12 off the top and they're 7 off Champions League.
The 12 of the top should be very worrying, but like that Champions League spot,
They have to get it. Have to get it.
I mean,
And probably won't.
they probably won't, but it's not like they have to get it, because if they don't, they will make their money by selling a lot of these guys, because none of the, like, they got a lot of good value players at young ages, so they could just flip that.
Sell
It
them
just
off.
won't look good, but there's always that
Tough.
option. They won't get, taken over.
So, any chance they bring back Ancelotti now that he's available?
I mean, yeah.
I think
it's
so.
looking very much like it. Is it the right move? Is a totally different question. But I think this definitely makes the seat a little hotter for Montella, and I think he's a good coach, and I think he needs to be given time. I think because he's younger, he's more forward thinking. He's out of the two, I think they have the better coach in their hire. Ancelotti is stale. He's last year's news or whatever, but like, he's done, man.
No, I agree. It's just tough when you consider 3 straight losses in Serie A for AC. That's tough. It's tough for them to swallow.
Yeah, but if you're trying to do a football project, like, you either know or you don't about your coach before he just goes on a 3-game losing streak. You can't have that be the,
Hey man, you remember that guy AVB for Tottenham?
Yeah, but like Tottenham and AC Milan, like.
No, I get it. I'm just saying, current climate, like I would be
But what I'm saying
no
is,
surprise.
like, AVB, you knew what his style was, and it obviously did not translate well into the Premier League and to Tottenham in particular. But this is like a very promising coach doing very good. But you don't get the last game they played before this. Like, I think 10 of their players weren't there last year.
Yeah.
Out of the 11, like, what the fuck is the coach supposed to do?
Yeah, no. It's a tough thing. It is.
Like, the other team, Perisic and Icardi have been playing together for like 3 years now. Like,
Yep.
like,
No, it's
that's
true.
a huge advantage when you're talking about moves that take like 1 second or a millisecond or whatever.
Yeah.
You gotta have naturally understanding of each other, and they don't. So I don't know what a coach can do.
Yeah, it's tough out. It's tough out
time,
there, man.
so
It's tough out there.
If this same situation happens and you lose a bunch in a row in February or March after you've had the team, then I would understand. But if you're already getting like this, then you should have just fired him in the summer and got somebody else.
Got somebody else, yeah. All right, no doubt. AC, Inter, the Madonna Derby. Let's move on, man. Let's move on to BVB versus RB. Bundesliga. Dortmund came out on the short end of this. 2-3. RB Leipzig. The most
Say it
hated
right,
team.
Rasen
Hey.
Ballsparten.
The most hated team in Germany. With a big victory, man. Big victory against top of the table Dortmund, man. Tell us what happened.
The second biggest team in Germany against the most hated team in Germany. This is legend. Like, last year, their fans were going nuts. This was one of the most contentious rivalries that has ever manifested out of thin air.
I love it, though. I love it. I love when motherfuckers just for no reason.
Thank you, Das Red Bull, for bringing this for us. This fucking stadium that Dortmund has, you know how many fucking people were at the game, dude?
How many?
81,000.
Dude, that's like a college football game over here. That's crazy.
Das ist a lot.
Dude, that's crazy. Like, what is the Camp Nou? Camp Nou's like 100 or something, or 90 or something, isn't it?
Yeah, like 95 or something, but they're
That's-
trying to bring the size down and add luxury boxes, because that's where the pesos are.
Yeah. Boo. Boo. Oligarchy
So,
comes down. Anyway.
it's curious because Dortmund has come out the gate like flying, supposedly. But it's a little bit like how we talked about previously with Barcelona, where we said like they're getting the results and stuff, but it's deceptive. They have been getting all the results against the smaller German squads, but they're going to Europe And their first two tests this season were Tottenham and Real Madrid. They got swept aside like somebody that they just came in, slapped them, and they just cried and went home.
Yeah, they're not that level, man. They're not.
So, against RB, Rasenbausen or whatever the fuck.
They opened up the scoring too, 4 minutes in.
Yeah, Aubameyang picked up on a defensive error. Like that guy. He doesn't necessarily have to have a good game to score for you.
Yep.
But he pounced on the defensive error, made it score, made it count. They got ahead, but RB... Peter Bosz got completely outcoached. And by outcoached, I mean one coach thought about everything and the other coach thought about only attacking. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And Peter Bosz, he's a Johan Cruyff disciple, quote unquote, and he's fanatic about, passing football and all that.
Yeah.
But he's ending up looking more like a Jurgen Klopp disciple because he has a team that doesn't know how to defend. His team selection was shitty. He had Socrates in there. He fucking got a fucking red card. And Mark Bartra was sitting on the bench. And he's like their iconic leader ever since, they dropped a bomb on his fucking head.
on his fucking wrist, man.
Sorry.
That's fucked up, man.
But
go ahead.
He has no defensive plan. It's like these coaches that came up that, in American speak, they should be just offensive coordinators. Because you can't just be like, go, 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 go every time you get the ball and not have a contingency for when you lose it and you have so many people up the field.
Yeah. No.
RB was ripe to be fucked, dude. Timo Werner and who's the kid that doesn't like the sound? Well, the guy that got pulled off the game against the Turkish opponents because the stadium was too loud.
Oh, no, I don't remember.
Oh, you didn't hear about that, Tot? Yes, apparently they were dancing and singing too much in Turkey. So.
Oh, yeah, I did see that. That's right. Mm-hmm.
Timo Werner is the one that did that. But Emil Forsberg was also missing from this game. And without these two, they played. They're basically two of their three players, Naby Keita being the third.
Yeah.
He had an okay game. He was doing his thing. But you get a Red Bull team without those two, and, I kind of thought that Dortmund should be able to put that in the bag. At home?
Yeah.
Ah, man, they came and snatched that shit.
Yeah, good. Götze had a meh game. Pulisic came in and had okay.
But Götze looked alright. I just didn't think that he had anybody to play with him because Nuri Sahin looked ridiculously bad.
Yeah, he had terrible.
Oh my god. Him and the right back, Jeremy Toljan?
Yeah.
Who came, because Piszczek couldn't play, so they had this right back in. He could, dude, they came down his side twice and fucked him up. If they play a player like that, you have to have a contingency of somebody to cover for him, because that was some exposure, dude. That set back this kid's progress.
Got worked.
He got worked. He got his ankles broke. He got out physical, everything. He got used, man.
Yeah.
Through the wash.
So to your point of it being a new rivalry, man, 2 red cards. I love that.
2 red cards, 2 penalties, everything. You had everything.
I love it. It's a good game, man.
Yeah. But Dortmund, Bayern Munich is coming up soon.
Yep.
And Bayern Munich, with their new coach intact and their 5-0 or whatever the fuck that was this weekend.
Yeah.
With that in the bag, watching this game, Bayern Munich will feel very comfortable with the lead that Dortmund has, which is now just 2 points.
I think it's 3. But I was going to say, that's 8 games into a Bundesliga season, the fact that we still have a race is, significant in my opinion. It's a lot of times this is over already, man.
During Pep's reign, but before that, Dortmund won back-to-back years.
They did. And then after that, I think it was
3 years. 3 years in a row of 4 years in a row of Bayern Munich. Sorry.
And you're right. We got Dortmund at 19 points, Bayern at 17, and Leipzig at 16. So, I mean, it's a legit race this year, man. Looks like it could be fun. We'll see, though.
I don't know, man. Bayern Munich might still get it done by fucking Christmas.
By Christmas.
They already fixed their problems. Thomas Muller is fucking scoring again. Lewandowski is just magnificent. Take him for granted. Like, that guy is amazing.
The robot Lewandowski.
Domo arigato.
For sure. All right, man. That's the back four. Let's go ahead and move on to the midfield. All right. Here we are in the midfield. Man, there were so many interesting games this week. We normally only cover 4, but we had to give these other games their own section, man. Upset special, because a lot of big teams lost this weekend, man. First off, man, defending champions Chelsea lost to the previously goalless Crystal Palace Eagles. Eagles? They fucking Eagles? Is that who they are?
They're the winners, is who they are.
2-1. Go ahead, man.
Roy Hodgson is showing us that managing a game shouldn't be as hard as Frank de Boer. Ronald de Boer? Frank de Boer?
De Boer. Frank. It was Frank.
It was so boring.
It was, man. It
was in his name.
Dude, 0 goals. Their first goal, dude, came in this match. Terrible.
Dude, I don't know what the fuck Arsenal's starting lineup was about. I did not get it. Sanchez was not in the squad. Ozil and dude was on the bench, and Ramzinho was also not in the squad. The Welsh Ronaldinho.
It sure wasn't like he was planning for Champions League this week, huh? But
they play Thursday because they fucking shite.
Man, I'd like to also mention, dude, that like in that game, like they were up 1-0, and he brought on Giroud at like 67 minute, and I was like, dude, this is not your team. You're not to shut it down. You're not about to shut it down 1-0. You're not about to do that, and they did not, as predicted. Another major 2-1 loss, man, over in Italy.
Yeah. Big shout to Roy Hodgson. We move on to Italy, where I wouldn't call it a big upset, because the other team was like in 4th place at the time of kickoff. So
sure, yeah, they are.
And Juve hasn't really looked like they're imposing themselves. Gonzalo Higuain, in addition to generally being a twat, is also clearly out of shape and lacking confidence. Paulo Dybala is I don't think they should sit him in a locker next to Gonzalo Higuain, because he's kind of turning into him. When the moment gets big, he gets a little, the squeaky bum time is not his time.
Osmosis, yeah, missed the 94th minute PK.
You know who raises up for the squeaky bum time, though? Is Ciro Immobile.
Ciro.
This is the 2nd time this season he's fucked up Juventus. You know that, right?
And what was it, like the Supercopa or something?
He hit him up for 2 goals in the Supercopa.
Yeah. I would like to mention a little something that adds to the gravity of this upset, though, is it was at home for Juve. That's kind of that's significant.
Very. And even more significant is that Napoli have taken how many points lead at the top now? 5?
Yep. Major.
And the way the two teams look, Juve should be worried.
Dude, very, very worried, man. Very worried.
A lot of these upsets and a lot of these performances of these big clubs not looking like what they are has a lot to do with FIFA. And
in what way?
The bigger clubs have a lot of international players, so they travel further distances to participate in African Cup qualifiers or World Cup qualifiers or
South
Asian
American,
something, you know?
Yeah, it's true.
And like you could tell, even like Messi and Suarez, like Messi looked physically tired towards the end of the game, you know? And a lot of times bigger clubs get upset.
Dude, when you put 10 players on your back, man.
What do you mean 10 players? When you have a club which thinks it's a nation and also an actual nation of Argentina on your back, you get tired sometimes.
You get tired, man.
Yeah, sometimes it's a little bad on the back.
And you were right, though, man. 5-point lead. Napoli only up by 2 over Inter, but 5 points on Juve. 5 in a row for Juve? Yes? 5 Scudettos?
Yeah, it would be, right? Like they're on their 4th?
Nah, I think it was 3. I think it was 3 under.
Oh yeah, 3 under Conte and 2 more.
Under.
Yeah.
Yep. So 5, and this would have been 6, but it's looking mighty sketchy at this moment. Tied with Lazio for third. Well, they're up on goal difference, but same points.
I mean, they'll get over it and they'll be a contender, but
absolutely,
I'd rather they didn't win it. And like it's like when Lyon were dominating France and stuff. Like, you want there to be some change. Like Bayern Munich was looking really stale, and then that Dortmund revolution happened, and by the time Bayern Munich came back out of it, they won a fucking treble. You know, like you need something to push you.
Yeah.
Juventus has looked stale. Like it's time for, if they're not gonna step up and go into the next level, then Napoli or somebody should pass them. Sarri is an amazing coach, it seems.
Yeah, it will be fun to have an actual race in Serie A this year.
Yeah,
a lot of the
teams are flawed, but they look good this year. It's like how German football has been for the past few years, where they have flawed teams that are at least fun to watch. Italian soccer for the past couple of years was not the most pleasing visually.
Terrible, dude. No, it's true. Juve running away with it. But, all right, one more upset, kind of an upset really, but we still wanted to mention it. In Francais is Lyon over Monaco, 3-2.
Yes, before the Arabs and the Russian oligarchs and stuff started buying clubs, Lyon was the most hated club in France. The traditionalists who like Marseille and Saint-Etienne, which is where Michel Platini played, and they used to be dominant. Like those were the clubs, and Lyon towards the mid to late 90s and early 2000s won 7 in a row. 7 leagues in a row.
Wow. That's crazy.
Now beating a Monaco team that's a selling team is considered an upset, you know, like how times have changed.
And this game went into halftime at 2-2. Settled in the 95th minute. We'll cover that a little later.
Yes, Nabil Fekir with 2 goals.
Yeah, man. And I would and Lyon, I mean, by the run of play, dominated this game, man.
Lyon looked really, really good. Again, like a lot of their players are either up and coming or whatever. So like there were a lot of players that stayed back, and Monaco looked lethargic. A lot of their players looked like they had a FIFA hangover.
Yeah, that was the that seemed to also be the not that it was an upset, but PSG came damn close to a draw with Dijon.
Yeah, they tried.
Yeah, Meunier saved them. Meunier. I like Meunier cheese, man. I do.
I like German cheese.
All right, man. That's our upset special portion, man. Let's move on to the World Cup, man. World Cup qualifiers.
Let's move forward by moving back a little bit.
Moving back a little bit. This is true. We're just gonna give a quick rundown, man, of like the teams that are already qualified. It's almost half the field is set, maybe even a little bit more than half the field.
More.
Yeah.
There's just like a few odds and ends to be tied up over the next month or so, and we should be good.
Yep. So UEFA,
we're getting a clear picture now.
Yep, and UEFA, most of the teams that you think would have been in are in.
Fuck them, man. You have to fucking travel to a 5-star destination and beat up on Luxembourg, which consists of like the royal family's cousins or something, chose each other a team and play. Dude. And then in Africa, there's like 60 fucking teams. Like 30 of them could be good enough to qualify, but 5 get to the World Cup.
Yeah,
Fuck 'em.
Yeah. Caribbean just got massacred by like 5 different hurricanes, and the U.S. had to go play down there in basically a flooded field.
Nah, man, that's not a game. They were fine.
I mean, that wasn't the reason, man. I'm just saying it's the type of conditions that you're talking about.
Yes, and also like in terms of getting there and all these, like these places are not like logistically,
Train ride.
Yeah, you're already kind of a little tired by the time you get there. South America, difficult. Asia, travel time, all this. Like Europe, you just go hop around all over the place. There's like 2 teams or whatever out of the 8 in the group that are gonna contend, and if you're decent, you'll at least get a playoff spot.
Yep.
You know?
I'd say,
Which is what makes Holland not making it like an executionable offense.
It's pretty bad that they didn't make it, man. They've been on the downswing for a while now, though. Even though they turned in a solid little performance last year, or last World Cup, but they have been on the downswing. So let's just run through real quick the teams that actually have already qualified in UEFA: France, Portugal, Germany, Serbia, Poland, England, Spain, Belgium, Iceland. The surprise being Netherlands. Italy is not surprisingly not qualified yet. They have to play a playoff, but that's because they were in the same group as Spain.
And also, Italy is not a good qualification team. Italy is a good tournament team. They
Team.
know how to compete in tournaments.
I always marvel at them because it's like, dude, I know none of these players. I'm like, I didn't see these guys. Who are they? And then they like always like semifinals or something.
Especially if they get a draw where they don't face an extremely fast team, they can put you off your game.
Yep.
Speed is the undoing of most Italian teams.
Yep. Let's move on, man. Let's move on to Cannonball. Man, it's getting a little nippy outside.
Yes, it's a little chilly.
It's not, no Chile, man.
That's why they're outside.
Alexis Sanchez is requesting a transfer to Brazil.
His dogs have already moved to Rio.
Oh, man. But qualifiers there already: Brazil, Uruguay, Argentina, Colombia. Really no surprises right there.
No. There's no surprises, but at the same time, there are surprises. I would like to talk about a couple of these situations because it's hilarious.
Oh, please. Wax eloquently, Sir Solomon.
So, Peru is the team that ended up eliminating Chile. Chile gets eliminated by Peru by 1 goal, right?
I remember this.
Peru gets a dangerous play, indirect free kick. Who crazy, world-renowned crazy man Paulo Guerrero takes as a direct free kick. This would immediately nullify it as long as nobody touches the ball. But the Colombian goalkeeper, who's learned this trick, I'm sure, from Arsenal, where he used to be the goalkeeper before Czech took his spot, decided to dive for the ball, and it went in off his fingertips. Him touching it is what made the ball live. That is what eliminated Chile, was 2 idiots combining beautifully.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, does this not go one level deeper? Was there not a player who played for one of these teams that actually played for another? He's actually from another country. Chile brought it up, right? Which they actually lost the points, but because that team had also, I think, like lost.
Because they lost points across.
They lost points also, which is
no. the other teams gained points because the games that player played in, they got disqualified for.
Yep, and
so
I believe
it's not just purely on the field, but.
Yep. But that's still an amazing thing. Like I believe Chile would have made it.
Long been kind of chaotic. Like this generation was good. They're looking still now. They're like old. Like they're all either approaching 30 or coming to the on the wrong side of 30.
Yep.
So it was bound to happen. And especially when your style is like go all the time, you can't come with the same guys. You need to change it up. You know.
Yep.
But over their history, though, they're very, very corrupt, crazy, like you can call it what you want to. Once they were banned from competing in the World Cup because their goalkeeper had a little blade and cut himself. I think it was against Brazil or something, or Argentina, and made it seem like they threw flares at him, and it was found out, and it was like this whole. So they got,
Was that under Pinochet, man? Because
yeah, it seems like a very Pinot kind of thing.
Yeah, man. All right, man. Cannonball, no Chile. AFC, man. Asia.
Peru plays New Zealand.
What'd you say?
Peru has to play New Zealand in 5th place.
Gotcha for the playoff game. All right, AFC, man. Asia Confederation. Iran, Japan, South Korea and Saudi Arabia. Three American allies, and our mortal nemesis Iran. That's pretty interesting there. North Korea almost made it. I'd just like to mention that they do have a soccer team.
I've always, every time Iran has gone to a World Cup or I've got the opportunity to watch them, I like their style. They have a lot of good ball-playing midfielders. They move the ball around. Like, they're not... And they used to be... Who was he? Ali Dai back in the day. Like, he's the all-time leading scorer, has more than 100 goals. Like,
Yep.
Iran football is not like Iran.
They were they were a tough out in the last World Cup, man.
Yeah, like, they're not a professional league like these other guys and all that, but
Yep.
they produce guys. They have a passion for the game. It's much more interesting than that one time North Korea made the World Cup.
Yeah, no, that was that was unacceptable, man. Africa, CAF, they are not done playing yet, but they have two qualifiers already. Nigeria and breaking a 28-year absence.
Yes, 1990 World Cup was the last time they came. In the meantime, though, they've been quite busy dominating the African Cup.
Egypt.
Yes.
Egypt.
Yeah.
Yep.
Before, it used to be Ghana before the 2006 World Cup. That was like this African team that's really dominant within the continent that couldn't get it to the World Cup. But Egypt quietly since 1990 has won like the African Cup of Nations repeatedly, been one of the most dominant teams in Africa, club football, national team football, but hasn't managed to make the World Cup. And now they're back thanks to Mohamed Salah scoring a penalty in like injury time. It was ridiculous.
Doing what he doesn't do for his club.
I think it's good if the ball is like put on a spot and you just run up and shoot it.
Hey,
it's
Sir
when it's
Solomon?
moving around that he misses it.
I'm good if you just put the ball on a spot and let me run up and kick
Yes.
it, dude. No, with all that being said, man, last Confederation, CONCACAF, we got Mexico, we have Costa Rica and Panama, with Honduras playing the playoff game.
Sorry, 1 second. Before we move on, inside track, Tunisia just need a point, and Morocco and Ivory Coast are playing and Cote d'Ivoire are playing their last qualifier against each other. And
Okay.
if Morocco gets a tie, that's good enough for them. Whereas if Cote d'Ivoire wins, they'll go through.
Okay.
And Senegal has to replay a game against South Africa, but they're looking like they're going to be representing their group. So these are probably the teams.
Okay, I appreciate that fill in. I forgot about the other teams because they're not done playing yet.
You're racist.
You know how it goes, man. You know how it goes. It's in my white blood, man. I try to fight it, but CONCACAF, man. Like I mentioned, Mexico, Costa Rica, Panama, and Honduras playing the playoff.
Hold on, say that list again. I think you missed a name.
Mexico,
Okay.
Costa Rica,
Okay.
Panama Jack,
Okay.
and Honduras in the playoff.
Where's America? In America.
In America, that's right. They'll be playing in the Gold Cup 2019.
So they managed an amazing feat, in my opinion.
Amazing. They only
Because when there's 4-team competition, six teams to get 4 spots, it's more difficult to get the 2 other spots than it is to get 4 spots. So
the odds are they're on your side to get one of the top 4, aren't they?
Yes. So they accomplished the more difficult task, and for that they get to miss the World Cup.
Tragic.
They lost or tied to all of these guys away, like to everybody on the Hex. I think they might have had 1 win away, but like some of them were like Costa Rica came to America and shit on them. Honduras, they went there and they got fucked up. Like the U.S. is.
And you wonder. We'll get to that. Hold on one sec, but we'll get to that. Well,
I'm sorry.
No, it's cool. No, it's cool. I'd also like to say that Mexico lost their last game, which you wonder if there was motivation.
In the other
to
game,
lose it.
one of the goals didn't count. Like shouldn't have counted. It never crossed the line.
Yep.
Panama.
In the Panama game,
Yeah. But I watched the game against Trinidad and Tobago, and they got a little. The moment got to them.
Oh, dude, definitely.
Especially after that own goal, like, it's not like they just kind of missed it. Like, they got beat.
No, they got beat. They got beat. The stats say they got beat.
Yeah.
Like, simple as that, man.
And then the fucking guy was talking all that shit. Jack Warner, the president of their federation that FIFA has banned now.
Oh, yeah. You mentioned that. We're going to mention him later as well,
Yes,
too.
we gotta
Let's move
go
on
back
to
to
the
that guy.
Let's move on to the next section, which is actually going to be about the U.S. national men's team, since we will not have the privilege to talk about them for at least another year and a half. So, I want to ask you, man. I mean, what in the hell, man? Like, why exactly did they miss? I mean, you kind of just covered it a little bit. But
We could not know, because I think that is a convergence of many, many things. One of the things being that the competition in CONCACAF, due to, among other things, the MLS getting bigger and bigger, their competition is getting better. Like, going on an away trip to Honduras and stuff, like, America has not adjusted to the fact that these guys are now a slight rung above what they used to be. And U.S. soccer, in terms of growth and player developmental growth, has stagnated. MLS is a young league, so everybody mentions about MLS and stuff, but the league itself, I think you could find 23 guys like to put in a team, right? Just out of this league, because when you're losing to Costa Rica and the guy that scores 2 goals against you also plays for the MLS, I cannot consider the MLS to be the problem.
good point. Good point, man. Miller Lite soccer is what I call it, man.
Yeah, but
I
like
mentioned that before. But.
That I understand in the sense that, like, just like the Mexican league, it's responsible for keeping the quality at a certain level, but not above it. But the MLS being there is definitely a plus for the region and American football. Like, there's a lot of tweaks to be had, but a 20-year league is generally considered young and developing. They just haven't moved with the time and changed towards what's considered offensive soccer of these days, the way they do with basketball and analytics in baseball and basketball and all this. Like, they need to incorporate more of that and scouting and developing of actual dribbling and skills at a younger level than they are now.
So I think it's also worth mentioning, though, that even, regardless of your opinion on these players, they're still key players for the United States team, between Bradley and Dempsey and Altidore and Howard and Jermaine Jones. These are all players that were in Europe during the last World Cup cycle, and they all came back to play in MLS. And I don't think it served them. I don't think it served them for the better.
I think it served them for the better. I think that these
served
names
the MLS.
that you mentioned, it served them too. These names that you mentioned, other than maybe Michael Bradley, only because what's his face? Kevin Strootman is always injured for Roma, but they appraised the situation, and like they're in the MLS because they need to be in the MLS. That's the caliber of players they are. The problem is, there was a time when a bunch of players were going over, like you said, like Dempsey, Landon Donovan at some point, whenever his vagina wasn't hurting too much. Like, there were a lot of goalkeepers out there. Now, the U.S. team is not as full of talent as it used to be. And I think that's because at a youth level, the development is not geared towards the everyday people. America, unlike the rest of the world, soccer is a game for upper middle class people, and a season of serious club soccer for your kid would cost you a minimum of like $5,000.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Like Clint Dempsey, when he was younger, I was reading on this Irish Times article, and they said when he was younger, when he was playing for his club team in Texas, Nacogdoches, Texas, his teammates had to put money together and support part of his expenses because, like, they were living in a trailer park, and like he just had the skill. In most countries, if you have that skill, it's supposed to take you out of poverty. Whereas the way American soccer is, if your kid is serious about soccer and never actually makes it, soccer could actually bankrupt you.
Yeah. And just to use an extreme case, dude, Barcelona, right? They fucking pulled Messi over and like paid for his hormone therapy at like 13 years old or something crazy.
Exactly.
And like this is not a game.
Precisely.
It is a game, but it's not a game.
The way, due to that, and like there being no fields or anything in any inner cities or like lesser income areas, the game is not moving forward the way it should.
Yep. I'd also like to mention there was an article I read a number of years ago that talked about the number of hours spent on training by country. And, you know, America's obsession with just winning a game versus learning how to play the game. Dude, Brazil was at the top with about like 1,500 hours per year spent on just training, not playing games. America was almost a third of that at like 600. Like that is, and you see that quality when you watch.
Across American sports, there's a huge focus on physical fitness over like actually learning the sport. So the coach, since that's also what he's there for, is like, we're gonna make sure like you give yourself a margin of error by being fitter than your opponents, basically. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they focus much more on that than actually developing your soccer skills. And so you have these guys that take all the boxes, they run fast, they do this, but like they're not used to dribbling between two guys and keeping the ball. Like,
gotta train.
Or,
gotta train.
Yeah, and you gotta train like soccer specific training, like not gym training.
Yep. No, you're right. So the other question I had though is, you know, because a lot of people will point to the whole fiasco with Jurgen, whether it was him being fired or not being fired, or they kept him too long or whatever. But a two-part question: was Jurgen the problem, and you know, would keeping him have made a difference?
Jurgen Klinsmann, in my opinion, is not a good manager. I think it was good that they got rid of him, but the Bruce Arena thing, they just signed him because of his name, and it was a convenient signing. It didn't look like they did a lot of research behind that. It was a, sentimental signing because he had success before, but the American team should be more ambitious than during his previous reign, and they never did that. The problem was not firing Jurgen Klinsmann. It was not doing your due diligence and replacing him with somebody that, with a younger generation coming up, could take them into the future. They went into the past.
If they would have kept him, do you think they still would have missed it?
Yeah. If they had kept him, they'd have fired him 2 games later. Like, he didn't know what the fuck he was doing. They had lost the locker room. Like, it was time for him to go, man.
Hey, man, losing the locker room doesn't matter at Arsenal. I mean, why should that matter, man?
Yeah, man, it didn't matter for Bruce Arena either.
No, it didn't, man. It didn't. It's just sad. It's just sad, man. And it sets the program back, in my opinion. Like, it just does.
And Klinsmann, you know how I said Americans are focusing too much on physical training?
Yep.
Klinsmann is too focused on, like, your mental well-being and your yoga and your... Like, he's not out there trying... Like, because he's a brilliant player as a player, so all he had to focus on was just getting his mind right. So, to much lesser players, that's the same advice he gives them as a coach.
What about
like he went to Bayern Munich and opened like meditation rooms and shit.
What is
like, fuck you.
Of course, dude. We're Nazis, man. What? Fucking meditate, son.
That's harsh.
I know that was hard. That was way harsh. Extreme. No, but man, anyway. So I think there's also something to be said for when you have foreigners coaching your team. You know, there was a lot of talk after they got rid of Jurgen about, oh, he wanted all these Euro-American players and blah blah blah. I mean, like, there's just this natural, what do you want to call, untrust, they don't trust them, or they feel like they're being talked down to, or typical American arrogance, in my opinion.
I think if they hired the right foreigner that could talk to the players and give them a good game plan and they'd buy into it, then I don't think that where you're from is the issue. It's getting your message across.
I'd like to challenge you, just for the sake of an answer for next episode, man. How many teams that have actually won the World Cup had a foreign manager?
None.
None. All right, hey, I think there's something to be said for it. But I hear what you're saying.
But until the 90s, like, you didn't even see who the other team was until you showed up to the tournament.
Until you showed
like,
up. Yeah. There's no YouTube. There's no.
It's not like coaches were going around coaching like all over the place and stuff. There were a few guys that were doing it, but you just used your local coaches.
Yeah. True. All right, last part of this section, man. What do they need to do going forward? We've kind of touched on it, but give me just a real succinct, quick answer on this.
For right now, they need to
It's too much. It's too much, man. And you need. I think we.
They need to have more fight, more spirit, just because they need to
competition.
get these away games in the CONCACAF, and they need fighters, not like little spoiled suburban kids that can't take it when the people out there are chanting "puta" at them.
Yeah, definitely. They need more competition for the spots. I think that the team was definitely full of a bunch of prima donnas, to your point. I think getting MLS in order with relegation, changing the philosophy of the youth system.
That was the talent-wise one of the least impressive-looking U.S. teams I've seen in a long time. And it's not like the U.S. team has been shining, beautiful, talented players.
Nope.
Even by U.S. standards, I did not like that team.
Agreed. Enough. I can't take it anymore. We'll talk about them in 2020 or whenever the fuck they play again. Let's move on, man.
Bad week.
Yeah, man. He'll be 20. He'll be 24, 25 by the time he might get to play in a World Cup.
He lost for America and went back to his club and lost for his club.
I'm not going to take too much Pulisic bashing, man.
No, I'm feeling bad for him. He was actually on the bench when they got fucked up for most of the game at Dortmund.
For Dortmund, yeah. No, he was. I'm just being a typical American, being sensitive and, feeling very entitled, man. Anyway,
he looked like shit in the game too.
Even though he pulled the goal back, I heard it wasn't that great of an.
Nobody to really play with though.
Anyway,
forwards.
Move on, man. Forwards for the awards. Let's get it on. Our dude of the week is
Mauro Icardi.
Hat trick.
Yes. 4 shots, 4 on target. You heard it before. Mauro Icardi is, as his wife, Wanda Nara, who is also his agent, will tell you. He's fantastic. She said all these other women out here cost their man money. He was worth 8 million when I met him. He's worth more than 50 now. I'm the only agent. I make him money.
Make that money.
You know how he met her? When he was at his previous club. He met another Argentine player who used to play for Barca called Maxi Lopez. So to get comfortable, he would always take him around and, go over to his house. He met his wife, Wanda.
Ouch.
He liked his wife, he took her. She's also an agent, so he was like, my career is on the up and up.
Ouch, dude. Ouch. Tough
so
out
supposedly
there, man.
He's had issues within the Argentine setup, and because like Messi and them are close to Maxi Lopez and they haven't accepted him.
Yeah,
but these are all rumors. We don't know what really happened. It's just a funny story.
Can't bring this dude around your wife, man. Because I always try to get some city love in there, man. Honorable mention, KDB, man. He fucking showed himself like ridiculous in the 7-2 thrashing of Stoke, man. Like, I mean, passes like, man.
Yes,
I can't
KDB
even...
is right now in spectacular, amazing form. He's huge.
Yeah, if it wasn't against Stoke in a 7-2.
But that Fernandinho goal was what really stood out for me. Like KDB's looked like awesome all season, but Fernandinho's have been touch and go, and the way he just stepped through that fucking ball was wicked.
Agreed. All right, twat happened moment of the week.
The man who you always wonder why he doesn't play enough, and then when he does, you realize why he should not play a lot. Andy Carroll,
our injury sponsor.
Yes. He in the 26th minute got a yellow card, which is arguable whether it was fair or not, for an elbow to the defender's face. It looked like it was kind of inadvertent, but still, like, you already got a yellow. You cannot follow it up less than a minute later by using your other elbow on another defender.
Gotta even that shit out, man. He might have got injured. He might have, you know what I'm saying?
Like, you know that girl, watch out for the big girls. You know how they dance when they put that on? With the elbows.
Throw them bows.
Yes.
All right, pull the Stevie G. 30 seconds, 2 yellows, done. Cost them points, by the way.
Very much so.
All Salon Squad nomination this week goes to Bakayoko.
Timmy Bakayoko
Showed up, channeled his inner Cisco, channeled his Ben Mendy, and showed up with a platinum dye.
Yeah, he pulled it off. He was fresh. Scored a goal. He got a debut goal.
Also mentioned that he would dye his hair blue once he scored his debut goal. He must have known it was coming. See you next week for your.
Did he say anything about that goal needing to be a winning goal, or if a goal happens in a game you do not win, did it really exist?
It's a good question, man. Philosophy, man, so deep, dude. Clutch goal of the week, man, please.
Nabil Fekir for Lyon against Monaco. That boy in the 95th minute. That free kick, check it out. I'm trying to locate it and tweet it for y'all.
Tweet. Streets is tweeting.
Yes.
Streets is tweeting.
Diving for glory. Check us. Remember that.
Last award, man. The cash shit talking moment of the week goes to.
Well, there were 2 contenders. Let me first run by our homeboy from Trinidad and Tobago, and then we can go back and. Mr. Jack Warner, the president of the ex-president of the Trinidad and the Caribbean region, whatever, FIFA affiliate, who America and FIFA has found to be quite corrupt in his dealings, after paying the grand total of $1 for the right to host the World Cup in the CONCACAF region.
Nice.
He said, after the TNT win, he said, I have not been in better spirits. This is the happiest moment of my life. It couldn't have given me greater joy. They have used their government to dismantle FIFA, dismember FIFA in a way that's unimaginable. Last night, on the field of play, Trinidad and Tobago reduced them to their knees. It's like a 72-year-old man that is fighting extradition to the United States on corruption charge.
And he's like, this is the happiest moment of my life.
He said, I heard they had a party the day that I was found guilty. Today I'm going to have a party. Go ahead, Jack Warner.
Perfect, man.
Yes, soca away. Soca after soca.
Yes, sir. Tell us about Troy, though, man. Troy went at Arsenal, man.
Troy Deeney, after he was told about Wenger and his complaint about the soft penalty, quote-unquote, that they got against them, I think when they told him about it, he was pouring baby powder on his hands because he was about to lay a serious pimp slap. He was like, look, y'all, just some bitches. We knew we could beat them because they're a bunch of cunts. What did he say?
But we don't want to actually say that he said that because
he
didn't
say that.
But he did say, he said, I want to watch myself here, but
yeah, I'm just joking. He said they did not have. Go ahead.
They did not have the cojones. So he said he's going to watch what he says, and he's like, yeah, they just didn't have the cojones.
Yeah.
He's like,
he called them eunuchs while he was behaving. I can only imagine if he wasn't watching himself.
It was perfect, man. So Arsenal.
We're glad you watched yourself, Troy Deeney.
Troy Deeney. TD.
But he was so impactful. He came into the game and really changed it.
He did.
I mean,
winning goal.
It was a basic like high school game kind of thing. Oh, bring on the big guy. They look like bitches. Okay.
First goal.
And they were.
First goal in 13 Premier League matches. The last goal being against.
I'm guessing a certain Arsenal.
correct, sir.
Troy Deeney, Arsenal killer.
Yeah. All right, man. That's the award section. Real brief section, man, on today in honor of the GOAT.
Yes. La Pulga.
13 years ago
On
today.
this exact day.
October 16th.
Yes. Mr. Lionel Messi came in a game against the Espanyol to make his competitive debut, the youngest ever to start a game of meaning for Barcelona in their history.
Shout out, son. Respect.
And now, he is everything.
He's everything, dude. Straight up.
The players had to insist and force Rijkaard to give him his debut because he was abusing them so much in training that they were kicking the shit out of him and they didn't know if he'd survive it.
Yeah, dude, please put him on the field. Man, shout outs to the GOAT, man. Straight up.
Big shout, Lionel Messi.
All right, man. Last section. Going to cover these upcoming games. It's a pretty decent week. We got Champions League. Tottenham visits the Bernabeu against Real Madrid.
That's an exciting game. Two very solid teams.
It'll be a very interesting game to as a barometer for Tottenham. I mean, they're not on Real's level. We know that. That's not the question. But like, will they eat? Will they get obliterated, or will they hold their own?
They haven't. Real hasn't really been on Real's level either, so it's not a bad time to have the fight.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. We also got Napoli visiting the Etihad. That sounds like a fun game.
Any game with those two teams, I'm watching, and if it's a game where those two teams are playing each other, I'm definitely watching.
Dude, absolutely should.
Two most exciting teams in Europe right now, Man City and Napoli.
All right, and then we also got Barca Olympiacos.
Yes, that's a game.
It is. It's a game that happens. We always just mention what Barcelona's doing. So for the week, I'm going to run through these. We got Barca Malaga, Valencia Sevilla. That looks like it could be a nice game. Valencia in second place in La Liga right now.
Yeah, Valencia's on the up and Sevilla's on the down. Sevilla started off gangbuster, but they're kind of topped off, and it should be a fun game. Yep.
Also, we have Napoli-Inter, so number 1 versus number 2 in Serie A.
Wicked. I'm loving this Serie A action.
Very nice. Tottenham-Liverpool. Liverpool visits Wembley. That's about all it gets, man. Sounds like a bunch of missed chances. Sounds like a 1-0 Tottenham victory, in my opinion.
I don't think you beat Liverpool 1-0. I think it's a Tottenham victory, but I think it's both teams scoring.
Okay. Yeah, no doubt. Real Eibar and Marseille gets a visit from PSG.
Nice.
Boom.
Marseille, the people's team. Big shout to l'OM.
Little Afrique.
My cousin Terras out in France watches l'OM. Big shout.
Big shout out, man. So yeah, man, that's it, man. That's the final outcome right there. D4G, episode D10 done.
10.
Until next week, man. Remember, man, Diving for Glory posts every Tuesday. Download us on iTunes. Follow us on Twitter at Diving for Glory. That's FOR, not the number 4, but the hashtag is D4G. Hashtag Diving for Glory. Like us on Facebook. Tag us on Twitter.
Check out our website.
Yeah, man. Check the website. Check the blogging for Glory, man.
DivingForGlory.com has all our stuff on it. Check it out.
Yeah,
excellent
man.
Website. You'll have fun.
Yeah, man. Once again, Pep Corciola, Sir Solomon.
Thank you very much.
Yow.
Diving.
not a man. There's nothing more to say.
Sahibine.